So I'm Emily Vondy. I am a mom of six, do social media. Well, it's kind of like a job now, but I didn't anticipate that happening, but I'm so grateful. And yeah, I love talking about birth. I've had five birth center births. My last one was a home birth. Just really excited here. Down to birth. I'm excited to talk about it all.
We're so excited to have you, Emily. You really need no introduction. Our audience is beside themselves that you're coming on to talk about your birth. I think right off the bat, we just have to ask you, what on earth is your background in music? Because you write these unbelievable
Oh,
songs. And how
oh,
does this come from? And is that how you developed your following? Is that just how it all began? What's your background?
wow. Okay. So my background in music is singing in the shower, writing songs in my journal growing up. No background in music, like legitimate background in music, but I've always been musical and I've always loved music and I've always loved writing. And I kind of just threw it out on the internet one day in the peak of COVID, when we were all of us stay-at-home moms were kind of quarantined and losing our minds. I wrote a little song about being up at 3 a.m., breastfeeding my baby, threw it on TikTok, and it kind of it kind of went from there. I wasn't anticipating like the response, but I loved how much it resonated with other moms, and I got to connect with all these other moms, and yeah, it's been quite the roller coaster, but I'm so grateful for it.
So this growth of yours all happened just in the past few years. You've millions of followers just from the past few years. This is what launched
Well,
all of this for you, and it just changed your
yeah.
life just like that.
So from whenever like COVID, like 2020, I guess. So for the last 5 years, I first really started posting just like here and there, like kind of an outburst of inspiration, creativity, and it kind of started slowly growing. But yeah, that's kind of how it all started. I had no p plans, but I really enjoyed. I found like the community was so wonderful, just connecting with other moms. I loved that. I loved like um the validation, validating other moms and being validated by them. It was just such a beautiful thing that I didn't expect from social media. And that's how it started. Yes. Long story short.
Well, your content is so incredibly relatable. It doesn't take long for somebody to want to follow you because you watch one of your videos and you're just like, yes, oh my God, yes, oh my God, yes, yes, me too. And it's
Oh,
relatable content is so attractive and so appealing. Um,
yeah.
and such a great use of social media. But what is
Yeah.
it like for you now? You have six kids, and we know how demanding a social media life can be. How do you manage
Oh
it?
my
What is
God.
it like?
Oh, I still am. I try to keep it with an open hand. I pray about it all the time, like how to balance it, how to be a good steward of it, how to balance it well. Because, and especially since Adeline's been born, it has been really hard trying to navigate both. But I've been giving myself a lot of grace, like knowing this is a slower season. There was a time I was able to put out like 3, 4 videos a week, get on my stories every day. That's just not it. That's just not happening right now. But I'm okay with it. Like I'm giving myself grace. It's still been like doable, and I still get so much joy from it. It's just we're being like intentionally slow right now so that my priorities are with my babies at home, you know. And six kids is a lot of it takes a lot of time and energy. So
That's
Emily,
that's 24/7. That's nonstop.
yeah, I try to put more majority of my energy with yeah, here at home. So and then like I'm always thankful for like the moments where I have an overflow of creativity energy where I can put it out online.
That's really interesting that you say that because we need space and time to be creative to feel
Yeah.
fulfilled. And when
Yes.
you're
Yes.
being a full-time mom, especially with six kids, but really with any amount of kids, it's such a
Yeah.
demanding job. It's so
Yeah.
hard to find that space to be creative.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
does it just like do you just wake up one day and feel like today I feel like being creative and
Yeah.
I'm going to do this, or are you more disciplined about it and like have set times and
I wish I
plan
was
it out in advance of what you're going to do, or do you just wait for
I
those spontaneous creative moments?
I really wish I was more disciplined and organized with it. Honestly, I feel like I'd probably be more successful if I was more like disciplined and organized with this all. But it really is kind of the spontaneous moments right now. But that's the beauty of like having relatable, doing kind of real life relatable content is there's there's so much that can happen day to day in motherhood, you know? And I feel like there's always something that's happening that I could talk about or sing about, or even if it's not like I'm not super energetic right or in the moment, I could be posting in real time about something real, something hard. That you can talk about that too. So kind of coming as I am is really the only way to do this, I feel
Well,
like.
there's an endless
Um,
supply of content as a mother.
yes,
You don't need the
right.
discipline. You just need to be present as a mother, which you are. And
Yeah.
Emily, I'm sure you've heard this from people, but it is impossible to picture you without a smile on your face.
Oh,
And I think, and when you made that comment about how happily surprised you were to find how many loving, caring women are out there, even total strangers, and how positive an
yeah.
experience this has been for you, despite what we normally hear about social media experiences and the anonymity of social media. I really believe, because of the experience Trisha and I have had, I really believe that we attract like-minded. We like our audience is very understanding of us. We're not afraid of like them misunderstanding us or taking that.
Hmm.
It's like it's somehow I really believe that you've attracted women like you, this
Oh,
massive women like you. But I know they're
oh.
all wondering,
Mm.
how do you do what is so naturally, if not beautiful, fulfilling, incredible, meaningful, but stressful, having children and almost
Yeah.
always having a newborn in your arms through these
Yeah.
years? How do you do it truly with so much cheerfulness? I don't just mean
Joy.
joy and
Mhm.
gratitude, I mean cheerfulness.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
that just your disposition? Are you just like,
I
because that's part of it, I'm sure.
I think that part of it maybe a lot of it probably is my disposition. Like talk to anyone, any of my friends, anyone that knew me growing up.
Yeah.
How they would describe me as cheerful, happy, joyful. So I definitely think that's like a gift from God that He's given me the spirit of joy. Um, and I do really try to bring it into my mothering, how I view mothering, my approach. Sometimes I do feel when people say things like, "How are you so like joyful all the time?" You know, I wish I could be joyful like you in motherhood. And it makes them feel like, "Oh, I'm not as good of a mom because I can't be happy all the time." I don't want to make people feel like that ever, because, 9 times out of 10, how I present online, I am at my happiest, and I'm not really showing my overwhelmed breakdowns. I talk about them, but I'm not showing them in the moment because I'm trying to get through the moment, and I'm using my tools to get through the moment, and that's not hopping on social media in the moment, Um, so like I definitely have that overwhelm, the heaviness of motherhood. I've had like almost like panic attacks. The overwhelm is so heavy. I don't talk about that a
Wow.
lot.
It's so good of
I
you to share that. I mean, and this is going to come as such a surprise. So
Yes.
how does a panic attack manifest for you? What happens in those hard
Oh, so
moments for
it's
you?
like I feel like I can like coexist with the overwhelm, with the chaos, with the endless list of to-dos. I'm coexisting with it, and it doesn't pile up on me and like take my breath away. It just can't, we're just doing it. I'm very go with the flow, but then I have those moments, and it's probably very much like due to like where I am hormonally. I feel like I've kind of track the correlation of that.
Oh yeah.
And it's always a relief when my period comes because I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not going crazy. Okay, we're okay. We're okay. But anyways, like I'll have these moments. I don't, it's yeah, probably part of it hormonally, probably just reality of real life where it's all piling in on me at once. And it feels like so heavy. And it could be maybe a more stressful just day of mothering. It could have been like all the things are happening. It's this chaos. Babies are running around with their diapers off. There's poop on the floor. My dog just got out. And I'll have this moment where I'm like, oh, this is this is actually insane. I can't, and then I can't like catch my breath. I was like, I don't know what to prioritize first. And then I'm like scrambling, and sometimes I'll start to cry, and I'll really try to focus on my breathing. And then it feels like, oh, I can't breathe. And then like in those moments, it's so much like giving birth, honestly. I'll do like my birthing techniques. I'll be like,
Hmm.
I'll do that. Just anything to try to ground me.
That's a great stress reliever doing the horse lips. That's like
Oh, I love
that's super helpful to do.
I know it's so funny, like how I've found myself doing things I do in birth and intense moments.
Well,
So
because
yeah,
in birth we have no choice but to be
yeah.
present. And I
Yes.
think it's what you're saying. I think it's what I felt when I've experienced overwhelm, when I just look at the very next thing I have to do. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
even look at my calendar for the next day. I don't feel the need to look at what I have to do tomorrow. I just look at what I need to show up for today. I've found it's really the easiest way to live. And it almost sounds like the same thing you're saying. And I think that's the comparison to birth. Does it feel like that's what it is? Is it just is like a matter of being very present that helps you get through the hard
Yeah.
moments, or is there more to it?
Well,
Yeah,
and
no, I think
and
that's
using
yeah.
your physical coping technique. So it isn't just a mental awareness of like, oh, I'm in a stressful moment and I need to just stay present. It's also using those physical modalities like deep
Yeah.
breaths, breathing through your lips the way you just described, maybe shaking your body a little bit,
Yes.
stomping
I'll
your
do
feet.
this.
Like, yeah, it
Yeah.
really helps. I always do this, like rub my
Oh,
hands together, and it's a release, a
yes.
physical release.
Yes. Something, yes. Just trying to like ground myself and let the moment happen, like be present as in the moment. Because the moment does go. And that's what I always try to remind myself is like, this is just a moment passing in time. This doesn't define you as a mother. Let it come, let it go. And then we're like exhaling and we're moving on with the day. We're okay. We're okay.
Well, that's the surrender that's required
Yeah.
and the relinquishing of control that is also so critical in birth. That when you feel that physical overwhelm, which when we are really stressed, it is actually a physical overwhelm on the body, which is
Yeah.
why you get the symptoms of feeling panicky and then just surrendering, like let go of control. I can't control it in this moment. If it's not an emergency and there's something that your fight or flight, has to kick in, your adrenaline has to kick in, you have to do something, you just kind of, yeah, relax, let it go, let it pass, and then regroup.
That's so true. Yes.
So, Emily, as you know, the reason that we were so eager to have you on the show was that you had an incredibly spiritual experience. I believe it was your fifth birth. Am I getting that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So,
My
for your
fifth.
fifth birth, it was really captivating. And I saw
Mhm.
you tell it before. And I'm just so glad you are coming out here today to share that story. And I can't wait to sit back and just hear more details and be able to ask you things about it. So, but we also got a bunch of questions from our community. And if we have time at the end, would you be okay if we do like a rapid fire
Oh,
question and
sure.
answer? Okay, cool. So, but why
Yes.
don't we?
I'll try to rapidly answer too. I'm such a yapper. So I'll try to rapidly answer them.
Oh, we have at the end of every Q&A episode we have quickies. We call them quickies because
Okay.
our callers call in and we play their voicemails and we answer their questions in like 2 to 5 minutes. But then,
Oh,
then at the
cool.
end, we do quickies. We read them and we answer them
Yes.
quick. And we notoriously can't keep them very quick at the end. So
That'll
we
be
get it.
me.
And don't worry, we're only trying to respect your time. Don't worry, they don't
Yes.
really have to be rapid fire. We're just hoping to
Okay.
ask as many as you have time for. But
Okay.
could we hear about that birth experience? Maybe bring us up to where you were in that fifth pregnancy. Do you want to just give us a little background and then bring us to that experience you had?
Yeah. So yes, it was my fifth pregnancy. We did this one at the birth center as well. My sixth was my one and only home birth. Side note, I wish I had all my births at home now, but that's I'm glad
You
I
could
got my
always have
one home
six
birth.
more.
Oh, I know. My husband would actually love that. He would want all the kids. So funny.
Wow.
So right off the bat, and I think this is like a big part of like the story, just the kind of the fear involved, the the kind of accepting God's grace and strength in my weakness, kind of starts at the beginning. It was following two miscarriages, one being like an ectopic rupture. So it was a very like I had to take an ambulance. It was emergent. It was very like kind of scary and traumatic going through that. So getting pregnant again, even though we knew we wanted to have our fifth, it brought up so much like fear. And I kind of just like when finding out I was pregnant, I was just overwhelmed with fear. And I was like sobbing, so scared. And I never had a reaction like that before finding out I'm pregnant. So that was just kind of intense, I suppose. And then,
Emily, if I hate to
yeah,
interrupt you, but
yeah,
can you try to name all the emotions underlying the tears? You had just had some
yeah,
miscarriages. You're about to have a
yeah,
fifth child, which is a big
yeah,
number. Five
yeah.
seems to be a big leap. Like, what can you name the emotions you think you were feeling when you were crying?
Yeah, I think so. Actually, if I'm remembering correctly, initially, right, like in the first 5 seconds, I find out I'm pregnant. I'm instantly actually joyful, you know, and then fear sets in right on its tails, like remembering what it was like to go through the ectopic rupture and then going through a miscarriage after that, remembering. And a lot of things that a lot of times people don't talk about how drawn out the miscarriage process can be. It's not like you miscarry one day and then the next, and then you can start healing the next day. A lot of the time it's like a month-long process of like going in for blood work. They want to track down for like those aren't familiar. Sometimes when you miscarriage, you have to keep going in and getting your blood drawn until your HCG levels are back to zero. They're wanting to kind of monitor that. So every time you're going in, it's just fresh in your brain and did my body do what it needed to do? And it's not a quick process. So anyways, it was bringing up remembering all that. And I thought like, what if I go through another miscarriage? Like this isn't, and that's kind of where it brought me right off the bat, just the fear of another loss. And not feeling ready that if this is another loss, I don't know if I'm going to be able to handle that. I don't have the capacity to handle that right now. So then I felt like maybe we got pregnant too quick, even though I allowed the time for my body to heal. Did I get pregnant too fast because I wouldn't be able to handle, you know what I mean? I'm not mentally strong enough. So that's kind of what I was feeling when I started crying. Yeah, all that emotion. But then kind of the first pivotal moments of that pregnancy when I really embraced it as like, this is good. This is from the Lord. I was praying with my husband one night, telling him like, I just have like so much fear. I feel like I can't fully celebrate this pregnancy, or I feel like I can't really be happy. And that's so normal. Pregnancy after loss, you feel like you can't really fully embrace it or you're protecting yourself. But it made me feel like if this life comes to fruition, I don't want to have not celebrated it. I don't want to have not rejoiced over this life, but I feel like I'm too weak to be excited. And I feel like I don't have the words to say, and it's making me feel like a bad mom. We always carry the mom guilt that we don't need to
Yeah, I
carry.
was just going to say, I think there's guilt in there too. For some
Yeah.
women, they can feel guilt.
Yeah.
How can I feel good being happy for this baby when my heart
Yeah.
is broken for another baby?
Yes. Yes. And yes. And we so often go to guilt and shame, and which I wish we didn't as moms, but we do.
Yeah.
Um, so
Well,
yes, I was talking to my husband about it. He started praying. He kind of prayed with me, and I in that moment I was just kind of like, I was so wrapped in my own fear and anxiety, and I can kind of struggle with anxiety. I couldn't even. All I kind of said was like yes and amen in my mind. Yes and amen. I can't even take. I love the verse like take my wordless groans because I so often feel like that's all I have to give in this moment. The wordless groans. So I kind of threw up a yes and
Wow.
amen. So when I'm anxious about something, my mind will like ruminate. My mind will ruminate all night long. And I'll wake up in the middle of the night, sometimes go to the bathroom, and it's like my mind is still thinking about that thing, going around in a track in my mind, it's been circling all night without me even subconsciously. Like I'll wake up and I'm instantly thinking about this anxious thing. But that night I woke up and it was like I woke up to God praying over me, but I was overhearing his prayer. Uh, I cry every time I talk about this. Um, he was like praying over me, praying like through me, all the things I wish I had like the strength to say. Like he was covering me in prayer when I feel like I couldn't because I was too weak. And from that moment, I was like, oh my gosh, okay. Like I felt like I could trust it a little bit more. And I felt like God was equipping me in that moment to kind of embrace my fifth child the way I wish I could.
What was that like, Emily? How did you know
Oh,
it was God? How did you experience that?
I knew like right away. I feel like in those moments, there's not even a doubt or question in my mind. It's just so him. It couldn't be anything else. Um, because me knowing myself, I know myself and myself would have woken up in the middle of the night thinking about all the things I've been anxious about this pregnancy. Is it gonna, am I gonna have another miscarriage? Like overly looking at all the signs, what my body is doing. Am I showing any signs of possible miscarriage? Just anxious. I would have been thinking about all that stuff in the middle of the night, waking up. But I knew it was just God. I knew it was God's voice because it was not me. It was, it was all the things that that he's true to be.
Did you hear an actual voice, or is this just like a knowing in your head, like words in your head, or did you hear an actual external voice?
It like words in my head. Were not an external voice. It was very like clear as far as um I have given this child to Emily to mother well. She is equipped. It was things like that I was not even thinking about. I wasn't thinking about any of that stuff leading up to that point. I wasn't trying to find the truth and the goodness and what God says about the pregnancy. I wasn't doing any of that. So I feel like that wasn't me.
Yeah, it's like
It,
a download. It's just
yeah.
like,
I've had a
Yes.
number of friends with similar experiences, and they all describe it the way you're describing it. They say it's not an external voice, but they have 100% certainty that thoughts are being put in their mind clear as day,
Yeah.
and they're not their own thoughts. Like they are
Right.
given thoughts and they can hear them and sound them out, and
Yeah.
it's perfectly clear. And there's just this conviction, these are not my thoughts. I was given
Yes.
this. So it
Yes.
sounds like it was similar for you.
That's a very good way to put it. And I know it's like it probably sounds very like woo woo I don't even know. It probably sounds very like, oh, what's the word? Mystical? Or I guess. But I'm really not like a very mystical person. I guess I'm a spiritual person, being that I love the Lord, but I'm not like mystical, super mystical. So yeah, I guess but it probably sounds almost crazy, like I'm hearing voices in my head,
not to us.
like I'm hearing voices in my head. But to people that maybe don't, that haven't like felt that or experienced it, it probably does kind of sound wild. But yeah, it's real. It's happened. I don't, but and
People don't
I,
know what to make of it. I think it makes people
yeah,
so uncomfortable, and I think they just don't know what to make of it when they hear it. When people have these experiences, they don't know where it's come from. They didn't expect it, and it helps them in a difficult moment of their life, right
yeah,
in a difficult moment, and then they're changed afterwards. I
yeah,
think that really, I think that demonstrates something.
yeah. Oh, yes, I
So was that
agree.
a changing point for you? Did you feel some kind of trust after that moment?
Yes. Yes, it was kind of like a release or an exhale or like a burden lifted from that moment on. I felt like he was like God was giving me something to kind of cling to and this like deep trust that I am equipped to mother this child well and that he has equipped me to mother this child well. Because there was also like a little bit of that fear wrapped into it. This is my fifth baby. Am I going to be able to have the capacity, that to stretch further, to love another? And I feel like anytime you're any subsequent pregnancy, you kind of have that like, am I gonna be able to love this one as much, And
I
time and
rem
time again, it's proven that you do. You can.
I remember that feeling so
Yeah.
well between my first and my second, just
Yes.
sitting
Yeah.
there looking at my first and thinking,
Yeah.
how am I
There's no
possibly
way.
going
How?
to love
Yes.
this baby like I
Right.
love this child? It's
Yeah.
impossible. There's no way.
I know. Yeah.
And then
It's
they're born
mind-boggling.
and it just appears. It just
Yeah.
appears. Like you never run out of enough love for your
Yeah.
children, ever.
No.
You could have 10 more
Oh
and you
gosh.
might you might get a lot more tired, but
Oh
you would
yeah.
still have enough love. Like it
Yes.
just
That is so true.
multiplies, it expands miraculously.
100%.
I think another reason that people have a hard time when they hear stories like this, well, meaning they don't know what to make of it,
Yeah.
is that why some people get these incredibly cool experiences with God and
Yeah.
others don't, but they long for it. And do you have a sense, Emily, like why did God show up then for you if he never did before in such a clear way? Like, do you theorize why you had this cool experience and why a handful of people do, but not everyone?
Mm.
Do you think you were at a certain low? Like, did you have to hit a rock bottom? Do you think you had to be spiritual enough and open enough and receptive enough? I mean, why do some people attract
Yeah.
this cool experience from God and others are maybe not hearing?
Gosh, I wish I had like the right answer for that because I do
Yeah,
feel
we all do.
feel like everyone is so deserving of that.
Yeah,
Everyone is so
right.
deserving of these moments with God
Yeah.
that 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 become your testimony. Moments so like good and loving, they become part of your testimony. Everyone deserves those moments. I feel like it's definitely has nothing to do with me striving for it or me being good enough or me being spiritual enough. I actually really don't like that mentality because I feel like some of my most some of my most intimate moments with the Lord has been my moments where I don't feel deserving of them at all. It's like it almost it forces you to take the fact that you earned this. That's out of the equation because
Ah,
you can't earn what he freely gives sometimes. And I do feel like it starts with like a crying out to him. I feel like that part needs to be there sometimes. And I feel like praying with my husband that night, my little like yes and amen was enough. It wasn't this like beautiful, eloquent prayer. I'm on my knees. I'm surrendering to you, Lord. It was a yes and amen, you know?
and it also means you weren't chosen and you're not special and God
Yeah,
is there
I
for
don't feel like
all of
that.
us. And right,
Yes.
I think that's another thing that causes disbelief when people say, I don't know, I'm just chosen.
Oh,
I have this gift. And
oh,
you're coming from such a place of deep humility, saying, I have no idea why, why this happened. But what you do know is it's not because you were chosen, right? I mean,
right.
you can feel that it's like he's must be there for everyone. And for some
Yes.
reason you were able to receive in that
Oh,
moment.
yeah. And I definitely, I feel very, very like humbled and honored. I often feel like, what did I, why do I don't deserve that, you know? Like what did, but I see that's my humanness. What did I do to deserve that? There's
You were
nothing I,
listening. I think it's
yeah,
just that you were listening. I
yeah.
really think that's it.
My heart must have been open to receive
Right.
in some capacity to be able to hear. Yeah, yeah.
So
Having that
that's
soft.
not the end of when God showed up for you in this pregnancy and birth. So there's more to
Yeah.
this story that where
Oh
God showed
gosh.
up again, right? So let's hear what happened from there.
Oh, okay. You guys, buckle up. Because I will maybe sound like a crazy crazy person in the
Let's
best
go.
way.
Let's hear it.
In the best way. So, I go it was a straightforward pregnancy, I am I feel very fortunate to have very good pregnancies. I am, I'm an annoying person that loves to be pregnant. I do. I love being pregnant. I'm gonna really miss it. Um, and my due date comes and goes, guest date, I should say, comes and goes. I'm 41 weeks, getting over 41 weeks. I still am wanting to give birth at this birth center that I've loved giving birth at, but you can't go past 42 weeks at this birth center. So we're having like plans of, what are we gonna do to help baby come on out? We talked about castor oil. We ended up choosing the Foley balloon having all this is my first time, and we did end up doing the Foley balloon, but I didn't have to have any sort of like help going into labor with my other ones. So this is another thing that brings up fear, anxiety, unknown, fear of the unknown. I've never, putting this balloon up in my cervix. This is all frustrating. This is not how my birth is supposed to go. I'm
Yeah, it
feeling like,
challenges the trust. We're supposed to
yeah,
be in a trusting place. And as soon as we
yeah,
need intervention of some kind, it
yes,
challenges that and rocks it and
yeah.
think, wait, can I not trust this pregnancy and this birth?
My
Yeah,
body's
I
not
can see
doing what I
that.
want it to do. I can't tr yes. So exactly. So it threatened just like my trust, that deep trust, that confidence that I love being in a place of confident readiness going into birth. No, no, that was all out the window.
What,
Not feeling that.
was this the first time you went post dates or
So
post master birth?
it's common for me to go post dates, but the furthest I'd gone was like 41 weeks on the nose. My third daughter was 41 weeks. That was the furthest I had gone to that point. So like in my head, I'm thinking I might go to 41, for that's in my wheelhouse. But yeah, like the days kept going after that, and we ended up doing the Foley balloon at 41 41 and like 41 and 4, I think, or 41 and 3 days. We ended up doing the Foley balloon.
Why didn't
Um,
they just leave you alone, Emily?
so this birth center's
It's their policy.
yeah.
They were getting uncomfortable, so they wanted to get things going.
And I don't know when it comes to like what kind of rules birth centers have to be under.
Yeah.
I think it's common for mini birth centers that that's like their cutoff. They can't, oh, you risk out. You like risk out of being able to, if you go past 42. Um,
It's common in home birth too. Midwives will drop their clients at
oh,
42 weeks and
But
not
you were
attend
not
them.
quite at 42, and that's what made me ask. 42 is pretty
yeah,
customary, but I do think they're inching them up in a lot of places. So was it like 41, 3 or 4 days
yeah, it
you were
was like
saying?
41. It was like, I ended up giving birth 11, I think 11 days past my due date. So that's like, yeah, 41 and 4, I think. Um, and I think like they were kind of explaining it like because this might not work, so we want to have some cushion to like if the Foley balloon doesn't work, then maybe the next day we try castor oil. So they're kind of trying to give them, I think, trying to give themselves a little wiggle room. Um, with my sixth, my home birth, I went to 42 and 1 day. No, 42 and 2
Oh,
days.
how
I
lucky
ended up
that was
giving
your
birth.
home birth.
But I did a Foley balloon at 40. I
Again.
did 42 weeks in 1 day and I had to do the Foley balloon. So I do wonder like how long would I have been pregnant
You
for?
might be
Yeah.
you just might be the rare 43 weeker.
Oh
That could
man.
be.
Yeah, but
We
also
were
if you had been with the birthing center, they would have been meddling around at 41 and a half weeks again. And she really
oh
wasn't ready. We know that for a fact now because she went over 42. So it was really
yeah.
lucky that
Yeah.
she, because when you try to induce a baby that isn't ready, it often doesn't
You
work.
can
So you
yeah,
got
you
pretty
can have
lucky, I think.
more complications come up for yeah.
Yeah, it
Um
just doesn't take. And then they end up, doing the
yeah.
next thing and the next thing.
And
So
neither of them were huge babies either. I don't know. I think my body just maybe cooks them longer. They were just 8 pounds, not huge babies. I think people were like, were they like 10 pounds being in there that long? No, just a little 8 pounder normal
yeah,
size
people
baby.
misunderstand that a lot. They
Yeah.
really do. They assume things like that. Okay,
Yeah.
so what happened next?
Okay, so yeah, I get the Foley balloon put in. My headspace is kind of like I have kind of been able to get to somewhat of a place of surrender because I know how important that is for birth to unfold, to not be holding tension in your mind and your body. So I was like by the grace of God able to get to this place of okay, this is the way my birth is going at this point. We're just gonna surrender to it at this point. We got that, but still kind of like a fear of the unknown in the back of my mind, like what's this experience gonna be like? What's a Foley balloon induced birth gonna be like? Um, yeah, the right away my uterus is like, ugh, yuck. I don't like this thing. Do you guys know much about the Foley balloons
Well, not
Oh
by
experience?
yeah.
experience, but sure, we
Or,
know about it.
but
It,
yeah,
it
Yeah.
but about it.
it's a little bit my one of my friends and mentors, who's a midwife of many decades, calls it barbaric. I mean, it's just
Ah,
unusual. It's
I
just
don't
it's
like
just
it.
a little right. It's a little odd. I mean, the good thing about it is it isn't chemical, so it's
Yes,
preferable to chemical inductions. But yeah, I
sure.
mean, it's a little weird, right? I mean, we're sticking
Yeah.
something in there manually, like we would never
Yes.
do this to, the mammal out in
Yeah.
the woods. It would seem so strange if we did it to another mammal, but we've
Right.
normalized it.
The thought of it almost makes my body cringe a little bit. The thought of it being up there and, it's like you're whatever. Um but it was effective, both times in the sense that it did what but I do feel like the with the Foley balloon, it definitely like made my uterus angry right off the bat. Like so just way more crampier. It's almost like with the balloon in there, you kind of have a constant cramp going on and your body's almost building tension around it and just crampy, general crampiness. So then when the contractions come, they just are way more I call them like so they're like spicy and sharp. These they don't feel like the normal contractions that I was
Well, but
used to.
it's a foreign object in your
Yeah.
cervix, and
Yeah.
our bodies don't like foreign objects in our
Yeah.
body. So your uterus is trying to contract and relax at the same time, and then there's
Yeah.
this foreign
Yeah.
object putting pressure on it where it's
Yeah.
supposed to be relaxing and opening. So
Right.
I think your body gets a little confused. It's effective because it's stretching the cervix and releasing those prostaglandins, which is what helps you get into labor. But
Yeah.
it's like it's multifactorial.
Yeah. It adds like this like sharpness is kind of the best way I can describe it. It adds this like sharpness to it. Like where my contraction like in the past, I really could feel the ebb and flow of the contraction, the kind of the wave you climb or the mountain you climb with the contraction. And there's not this sharpness to it typically until maybe like the end when you're like maybe going through transition, then they can kind of get a little unhinged and sharp, those contractions, the final opening. Whew. Um, but I don't usually have that sharpness right off the get-go. So, once labor was kind of kicking off, they sent me back home. I'm home, contractions are coming. Right off the bat, I'm like, oh, I do not like these at all. And it's kind of like a mind game because they say, once you're 4 centimeters, that balloon will just kind of fall out of you.
Yeah.
And every time you're at the bathroom, go like feel free to give a little tug, gentle tug, and see if it's ready to come out. So I was having these like good contractions, and I was like feeling the intensity of them felt like they were more like active labor, not pre-labor stuff, or not early labor stuff. So every time I would go to the bathroom, I'd give it a little tug. Hate that. Not ready to come out. And they were just kind of getting closer, like closer together, more on top of each other. I felt like my uterus was just angry about this whole thing. So I got in the tub, and I know this is a mind game for me because I know I'm not at 4 centimeters and I need to get in the tub. And I'm like vocalizing kind of through them. My mom's over. This is in the evening, the kids are in bed, or this is after all the kids are in bed. So it's me, my mom, and my husband. And she's like pouring water over my back and looking at me kind of like, do you want to call the midwife? This is because she's been with me through all my births. And she's like, this is you kind of sound how you do like towards the end of your labor. And so I called my midwife, and she was kind of talking to me through it. My mom's telling her the balloon's still in there because I'm talking to her through in between contractions, not through them. I can't even talk through a contraction. And my midwife's hearing that. She's like, go ahead and cut that balloon out. Yeah, go ahead and take that out. Oh, praise the Lord, she said that. I actually really love, love, love the midwife I had. I was praying I would get this midwife. She's wonderful. And she was on call that night. She's like, yeah, go ahead and take that out. If the contractions kind of continue the way they are, feel free to come on down. It's our drive for us, so we're mindful of that. And yeah, so we cut it out. They did not ease up in intensity because that will sometimes happen when you take the Foley balloon out, or even if the Foley balloon falls out on its own, you dilate to 4, it falls out. Sometimes labor will just stall and stop right there because you no longer have that mechanism.
Yeah, the
And
pressure on the cervix. Yeah.
yeah, so that can happen sometimes. Thankfully it didn't. Labor was still going, but it was still just as like intense. And I was kind of hoping I would get a little bit of a reprieve once it was out, but they just kind of kept coming the same way they were coming. So we decided to get loaded into the car and head down to the birth center. Um, this is kind of where I have my moment of I'm not getting in the car. No, that will not be happening. This is too intense. I hate laboring in the car. I usually get in the car before I get to this point of intensity, and I'm in the intensity right now, and now I have to get in the car. No, I don't want to do that. And my husband and my mom, like seeing how close together these contractions are, seeing how I'm not really coping through them. They're like, Emily, you got to get in the car. We got to get down there. We have an hour drive. There's still part of me thinking like I'm still probably at 4 centimeters, and that's adding to all of it because we had to cut the balloon out. So I'm kind of like, the worst headspace. I'm in the worst headspace. And John like prays for me again before I get in the car. We kept waiting. I had like probably 5 contractions outside the car. I'm not getting in. I'm not getting in. And he prays. I get in, and it was the same kind of thing where I just do like a yes and amen. Yes and amen, Lord. Yes and amen. Almost like angrily. Yes and amen. Okay,
Whatever.
whatever.
Fine.
I was like, so like, this is not, I was almost like mad that this is not my birth, this is not my birth story, You kind of have all and that's definitely coming out of like a place of, I've been very blessed to have very straightforward births. I know birth can be, I don't want to sound like, I know birth can be wild and traumatic for so many women. So the fact that I'm kind of complaining that I'm experiencing too much pain, there's so much more that could be going
Women
on.
women get really apologetic for the
Yeah,
sake of other women when they
I
have
know.
nice,
I
but you don't
really,
have to do
I
that.
do.
You're allowed to have your life experience and share it. You know, and it's such a burden that women carry when they have anything positive to share because they know
Yeah,
that it stings or hurts. But
yeah,
we're all responsible for what we listen to. We're all responsible for how we feel when we listen to things.
mhm,
And you're just, it's your story, you were
We're
saying.
all
yeah,
allowed to feel however it is that we feel about our own birth. I mean, these are our feelings. It's your experience. We don't have to alter that. It's whatever you feel is what you feel, and that's right because it's yours.
yeah. That's true. Thank you for saying that.
And a
I
lot
do
of
have,
women
oh,
like to hear it too because it makes
yeah,
them believe. They also like to know that it also can be smooth. But either way, you're not responsible for how other women hear your life experience. So it's great. Just speak freely. So you always felt it like went really smoothly, and now you
yeah,
thought, "What the heck is happening?" And you thought you were only 4 centimeters at the same time. So it was like the worst of two worlds. You were thinking. Is that it?
yeah. Yes, yes. That's really, yeah, that's exactly it. I kind of, and then you don't want to be in your head like that. You don't want to be having all those kind of negative thoughts. That's also not good for labor, you know? So, I get in the car, we get down. I'm very, yeah, horrible headspace. Contractions are so hard and intense. No, like frustratingly so. I'm like vocalizing through them, like not good labor sounds, like kind of panicky sounds when these contractions come. I'm not doing anything right.
Except
Except
you were.
it felt in the moment it felt like I was doing everything wrong, as far as like I'm not like surrendering to this birth. I'm just angry and whatever.
That's normal too.
Oh, it's so funny because oh, maybe another time, but this my sixth birth, I I like embraced anger.
Hmm.
And it was so I'd never done that before. That's a whole nother podcast, but it was like I was so because it was very similar to this birth, Foley balloon, sharp contractions, angry. They're so intense, and I was like angrily power walking my hallway at like 9 centimeters. What? I'm gonna have this painful birth. I'm gonna go walk around the house and feel this pain. And it was so funny.
You
Sorry, that's
channeled it. You were working
yeah.
with it and not
I was
resisting
like
it and not
power. I'm
resenting
not.
it.
Yeah.
You know what?
Oh,
Women don't give birth the same every time. It
yeah.
can be a completely different experience. One baby can be calm, peaceful, quiet, and another baby can be angrily stomping the halls.
Oh, it was. But
And
it.
maybe, maybe your baby has something to do with that. Who knows?
I definitely probably would whatever my body needed it. I feel like I remember because that my mom, was like, because then shortly after I was in the tub pushing her out, and my mom was like, I had no idea you were that close to giving birth because normally you're in the tub at that point, not like stomping around, power walking. It was so funny. Anyways, that's a side note. So in the car, um, yes, okay, bad, like making all these kind of bad labor sounds or what I felt like in the moment was bad. Um, and I kind of felt the next contraction was coming and I was like feeling myself tense up for it. And then I heard God like shush me. Not in a condescending, but like a loving shh, quiet your quiet your spirit, quiet your mind. And then so I was like dead silent when I was being very like vocal. Um and that's when he started like so I quieted my spirit, contractions coming, but he started showing me in my mind these beautiful visuals. And the first thing he showed me uh disarmed me so much that I started audibly laughing. Pain is gone. I'm laughing. So the pain is gone. Okay, so I'll tell you what he showed me. Um, so um he's Jesus. This is playing in my mind like I almost like I'm watching as vivid as if I'm like watching a movie. Jesus is the conductor of like a big orchestra of angels. I'm like in the audience, so his back is to me. And he's orchestrating this, being the director of this orchestra and like turning around and like with the most like jubilant, happy, excited, pumped, this is for you. Like we're in labor, kind of attitude. And that whole image of him, like, what, yeah, it was so disarming in that moment that I started like laughing out loud. And and then I'm smiling and laughing and like the pain in that moment is gone. So the contraction's done. And I'm thinking like, whoa, whoa. Was that like I did not really trust it at first. That just actually happen? Did I just hallucinate for a second? What is happening? I think in that moment, like I prayed something like, was that you, Lord? Kind of the next contraction, I was gonna wait for the next contraction to see if that would happen again. So I feel like so at that point I'm kind of just like waitful, like hopeful expectancy of what this next contraction is going to be like. And contraction kind of I can feel it kind of start to build again. And I'm closing my eyes and I'm still just dead silent, saying like, okay, Lord, like if this is you, like I'm here for it. Like, and I'm really just kind of trying to be still so that I can hear and see whatever he's trying to do. Right, I am fully surrendering to it. And the next like vision he's showing me is we're like hand in hand running up waves together. Um and running not like along the shore, but actually running up giant waves, like in like the middle of the ocean, hand in hand, running up the wave. And what I think like struck me the most about what he was showing me in these moments is how like childlike he was. And he was so that still is what kind of strikes me the most about this whole story is I had no idea that he had that character about him or that like that's part of the heart of God, this really joyful, jubilant, childlike spirit where he's just so happy to be with me. I'd never experienced that side of God before. So we're running up hand in hand, laughing together. And oh man, and then I know in that moment I pray, this is what, or I say, like, this is what you're like. This is who you are. This is this is how you see me. This is how it's like being with you. I'd never felt his love in that way, in that capacity. This kind of like unhindered, unhinged love.
Playful,
Yeah,
playful.
very playful. It was so, but it was exactly what like I needed in that moment. It was so just like disarming, and I'm finding myself like going through what's so crazy is that he showed me like these three distinct visuals. It was so wild. I still can't really wrap my head around it. It was crazy how fast this hour felt. It felt like it was like a 10-minute span of time. There was one point where I did kind of because I had this whole time I felt like I was really in this heavenly realm. I was not present here on earth. He had really taken me to this heavenly space. And I say this often about birth, but I do feel like when you're in labor, the veil between heaven and earth is so thin. Um, I feel like it's one of those moments where heaven does come down on earth. Ah, gosh. So um, I was kind of coming back down to earth in this moment, and I was kind of looking at the clock and seeing how much farther it was to the birth center, and I was kind of starting to notice my surroundings coming back into this present earthly state, I suppose. And that's when I started feeling like the intensity of the contractions again, when I was starting to focus on my surroundings and not what God was showing me. Um, and in that next contraction, we're still running up the waves together, but he like scoops me up into his arms, and now he's carrying me up this wave. And um, the beautiful part about that moment, what sticks out, what I'll remember forever, is in that moment, him carrying me, he was like just as proud and happy to be with me than when I could like run myself. He was having just as much fun, like smiling down at me, filled with the same amount of love and joy as when we were sprinting together hand in hand. That was such a oh, the way it felt like he was just carrying me in that moment. Um, and then another moment like similar to that where I could just feel my humanness kept wanting to rationalize what was happening. Like this can't be, I kept wanting to make sense of it in my human mind. Like, how is this? How was I having such like painful contractions to now I'm being shown visions from God and not having any pain? That doesn't make sense. So something must be, I need to make sense of it, kind of. So I had another moment like that where I'm trying to rationalize in my mind and not just fully accepting and embracing what God is trying to show me and give me. And he like and he like tipped my chin back up to him, and he had his hand on my face and I had my hand on his, and I was like physically holding my hand up in the car like this. Closed my eyes, holding my hand up, and we just like we're looking, like we're staring at each other. Like, oh gosh, eye contact in labor is so, I do that with my husband all the time. Making eye contact in labor. There's something about holding someone's like gaze. Anyways, I never thought about that until this moment. But my husband was like, after when I was telling him all this, he's like, "What did he look like?" And I'm like, "I could not even tell you." It was just like, it was just almost, I knew I was having that moment with Jesus where he's holding my face and I'm like holding his, and I felt like the fullness of his love in that moment. Oh my gosh. I've never experienced anything like that. Even now I still want to rationalize it. Even now I feel like, how did that happen? To be in that such an intimate moment with him. It's so, oh gosh.
It sounds all the more real to me that you can't say what he looked like, that you can't say, well, he looked like this. I'll never
I
forget
wish
all
I
the
could.
details on his
Or
face. I mean, I feel like that would be the fabricated story version. And the real one is just, it's pure energetic. It's pure
yeah,
love. All you experienced was pure love and an awareness of what was happening and how you were contacting one another, but not that you could see it in your human form. Like
yeah,
I've had dreams where I've experienced bliss, and I've had meditation sessions where my consciousness expands. And there is a human part that, for me at least, almost gets panicky that it's about to end. Like, no, no,
yeah,
no, don't stop, don't stop. And you like can
yeah.
feel yourself coming back into your,
Yes,
and
yes,
I almost sounded that way when you were describing it, but
yes.
I'm not
It's very much like
surprised you
that.
can't describe what he looked like, even though your hand
Yes.
was on his face.
There was no like physical tangibility to it. It was all about like I could feel like the spirit of it all. And I could feel what he was exuding off like his presence.
The energy, it's just energy.
The energy, yeah, the energy. That's exactly it.
And did you only feel this energy during the contractions and in between nothing, or
Gosh, it's
was it
so
ever present throughout?
I feel like what he was like the very like visuals he was showing me was during the contractions. And in between, I think I just like was closing my eyes and just I don't even remember the in between, honestly. It
Well,
was
because
so
the whole car ride felt like just a few minutes to
it
you.
was so
So it
yeah,
was a
it was
collapse of time, the way you experience time as a human. So
yeah,
it's
it
probably
really was.
hard to even know.
I asked my husband like, what did you think? Did you ever like look back at me during that car ride? Because I was, very loud and all of a sudden I got quiet. He's like, I thought you'd like fallen asleep or something. It was so weird. I didn't know what you were doing back there. I thought you were sleeping, which I thought was crazy because you were in so much pain before. So that's kind of funny. I looked like I was sleeping, I guess.
Isn't it funny though that humans also turn God into, the whole idea of reverence is just like the utmost respect and obviously like the deepest humility and holding God on this pedestal, which is the
Yeah.
whole idea. But we always, as humans, describe God to one another in images and in ceremonies as being of the most serious nature. But every
Yeah.
human since the beginning of time and in every culture since the beginning of time every culture has had humor.
Mhm.
Everyone has had play. This is not
Yeah.
something just some people have. It's inborn in us. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
so it shouldn't come as a huge surprise to us to realize that
Yeah.
play itself comes from God. Humor itself
Yes.
comes from God. And for a
I
few
love
friends who've
that.
had spiritual experiences, there's often been play. There's often been a demonstration of whimsy.
Yes. Oh, whimsy. I love that word. Yes. I think that's so true. It definitely felt so whimsical. Um, Especially like the more like playful, like running, sprinting, like a child, like running together, where you're just kind of sprinting as an adult is just different than when you run as a kid, you know? And like the orchestra is very whimsical. And then anytime like I had the moments of like doubt or it almost makes me think of like the story of Peter walking on the water and he's starting to sink, because he's walking on the water with Jesus, start to sink. I feel like I had like kind of moments like that where in those moments God, he's redirecting my face to him and he's carrying me. And then in those moments it was like still like jubilant light, but more of like a grounding love than the playfulness of the other visions. It was a more like security. It was like a secure grounding in those moments, which was so like I'm fully protected in this moment and fully safe, fully surrounded. Oh, wow. I've often thought like I wish I could tap into that like in the day to day. And I think there's something I've definitely my most kind of intimate moments with Christ has have been in birth. And I think so and I part of maybe whatever it is you're out of I think I actually wrote something down about why I think that or about what it is about birth that allows me to have these moments. Um I think I wrote it down. I was thinking about it the other
If
day.
you wrote it down, Emily, there must mean there's a song in there to be written.
Oh, there should be a song one day. Okay,
Sounds
I'll
like the
read.
first step.
Okay, I haven't read. Let's see, I wrote this a while. I wrote this kind of shortly after I gave birth to my sixth. Birth gets me out of my head and allows me to feel the presence of God unhindered by this world, unhindered by my anxiety, by my mind that puts up this block. I get in my own way so often. I don't fully receive this gift he freely gives, this gift of peace and joy, like living life to the full. I don't fully receive that. Sometimes it feels impossible to receive because it doesn't make sense. I don't deserve that kind of unconditional love and grace. It feels like I don't deserve that. But when I'm giving birth, it's so intense. I have no choice but to not only receive it, but to fully embrace it as my lifeline, my hope, my security, my comfort. And so, yeah, that I wish I could tap into that in the day to day, but yeah, like so often, like my own mind will get in the way, or I definitely think I've had moments outside of birth where it feels very much like, especially like when I'm like during worship. Worship is such a huge, ge- uh, worship is such a huge thing for me to kind of go there to kind of accept that his presence through worship. I feel like it so often is the only time I can kind of get out of my own head, you know?
I don't know. I kind of feel like if you're wondering why you don't have it day to day, the idea, like the memory of my father teaching me how to ride a bike is coming back, where he was
Oh.
so happy for me when I took off and I was riding on my own and he was running happily, laughing beside me as I was riding myself. And there's the parent wants to celebrate when the child can do things on their own. And if you're
Yeah.
longing to have that experience again, it's probably God's way of saying, no, no, you're good. You've got this. I know you think
Oh,
you're
interesting.
overwhelmed, Emily, but you
Yeah.
don't need me right now. I was there when you
Yeah.
actually needed me, when you actually had doubt, when you actually
Yeah.
had fear. But it
Huh.
like a father and a mother wants to show the child, you don't need me all the time.
Hmm. Yeah.
And I
Oh,
am
that's
here. I am
yeah.
here when you need me, but you have to also know that you don't need me all the time. That's the most
Yeah.
loving thing a parent can do for a child, to show them
Yeah.
you don't need me all the time.
Right. It's in that capacity. You don't need me in that capacity all the
That's
time.
right. You don't need me to
Yeah.
save you and rescue you and carry you all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so true. That's so, yeah. Yes. That's a beautiful way to put it. And it kind of gives you like just because you're not feeling that intensive like a connection in your day to day doesn't mean you're not doing something right, or doesn't mean you're not like,
It probably means you are.
Or it
yeah,
doesn't mean that
It means you are doing it right.
you're not looked
spiritual
after
enough, or I'm
or
not like,
protected or that
yes,
you're out of communication.
oh, sure, yes. Oh,
Um,
that's a
but
great way to put it.
certainly when we go into altered states of consciousness, like
Yeah,
we do in birth, our
yeah,
ability to communicate with the whatever it is, the other
yeah,
side, the
yeah,
spiritual God, whatever it is
yeah,
much enhanced when we are
yes,
not in our thinking mind all day, right?
yeah,
I mean,
The other thing with God that I think happens is we can get to a point when we get a little bit of evidence, we crave more. We crave more and more proof and evidence. And I
hmm,
think that that's not how the relationship is what God
yeah.
wants it.
That's
And
not how
he
faith
really
works.
doesn't
Faith,
want to be like, here, I'll prove it again. I'll do it. Here, move
right.
this vase
Yeah,
across the table for me. Like God isn't here
sure.
to do tricks and to keep
Yeah,
showing up because we want more proof and evidence and cool
yeah,
experiences. It's really like a little window, a little
yeah,
spiritual moment we can have in lives.
yeah,
And it's like it's such a beautiful thing if and when that happens.
yeah,
And we can get hungry for just more and more because it's such a high. It's a
sure.
blissful state.
Yeah,
So who
yeah.
knows?
but
Oh,
that's where faith
that's,
comes in, right?
yeah,
The
Exactly.
faith is the ability to believe without the evidence, right? And
yeah.
that's the hardest part.
I love that you guys framed it that way. That's like very freeing of me, freeing for me to think about it that way. Because there was a part of me that felt like, if I, like, in my day to day, if when I'm struggling with like anxiety or overwhelm or this and that, the fact that I can't go there must mean that I'm not like spiritual enough, or I'm not I'm not doing enough. I so often put it on myself and my own strength, which, if anything, that birth taught me so much that it's about he met me in my weakness, not my strength. He met me, and his grace was sufficient for me in my weakness, and that I can rejoice in my weakness, because that's when he was there carrying me. Um, oh gosh, oh, thank you for that, like framing it that way. That's so like freeing thinking about it that way.
Do you want to tell us what happened in the rest of your birth story, and then we'll give you some of the
Oh,
questions that women submitted to ask you?
sure, yeah. So yeah, we got there. I didn't want to get out of the car, which is such a crazy juxtaposition to me really dreading getting in the car. Now I don't want to get out of the car.
Right, true.
John's like, get out of the car. John again's like, okay, now we gotta get out of the car, honey. Um, I get in the birth center. I'm pushing like pretty, I think I don't know, within the hour of being there, but I was so like in labor land. The midwives after were like, wow, you were like in another realm. They even said that afterwards. Because I
Well,
was just,
you
yeah,
were,
I really was. And they picked
really
up on
were.
that. I was just eyes closed, not talking, not really just saying anything. And then like pushing, I had like a little bit of that. And this has happened with a couple of my babies sit pretty high up, until, and so it's happened a couple of times where like I'll have like one switch, like they'll come down in like one mo movement. It's like a big dramatic boom, like bowling ball dropping down. And so because I felt ready to push, but I felt like I was hitting this kind of wall. And the midwife I had on call, who I was really hoping I would get, who would be on call that night, was prayed for me in that moment. Like that baby would just fully descend, and that I would have like this. Oh, I don't remember what she prayed for, but my next contraction, Vivian dropped down, and I think after that I pushed her out like in 3 pushes, and I had like a really sweet moment. I'd always kind of seen these beautiful birth videos of mothers bringing their babies to their chest and crying and, oh, hi, or, like, my baby. And I feel like on my births before that, I'm just totally stunned and shocked about what just happened, that I'm I kind of look like a crazy,
Yeah,
my
it's
eyes
not
are like,
rare. That's not
yeah,
rare.
It's
I'm
very
just,
common,
Yeah.
actually.
yeah, my adrenaline is so high, I don't ever connect in that moment.
Mhm.
And I don't feel bad about that. Like I don't carry any shame or guilt about that. I know that that's very like normal, but I always thought like, oh, that would be kind of sweet to be fully present in that moment. I never felt very fully present in the moment I bring that to my chest, because I'm so like, I'm alive, I'm alive. So anyways, for that birth, I'd kind of like prayed, Lord, it'd be really cool to really feel the magnitude of that moment when I bring her to my chest and to be fully present in that moment. I would love that. And I that was my first birth I had that where I brought her to my chest and I'm crying. I'm like, thank you, Jesus, my baby, hi. And I'm like, it's very different from what I normally look like after I give birth. So that was kind of a sweet, just a sweet little ending to that birth where I had that moment. And yeah, I had like I have video actually of myself like I haven't even birthed the placenta yet. And I'm trying to explain to my mom and John, my husband John, like what was happening in the car ride. And I'm kind of a little delirious still. My eyes are kind of like half open and I'm like Jesus like was showing me all this stuff in the car ride. And I kind of been trying to it's kind of fun. It's funny watching it back because it's almost like someone's super high, high on
Yeah,
really
right.
good drugs, trying to explain the
Yeah.
visions they just had.
Yeah.
And my
They're
mom
like,
and John kind of they're kind of like, wow, that's great. Like they're kind of like looking at each other like, what? Anyways, I'm really glad I have video of that because it kind of like helps confirm in my mind when I try to say I try to downplay it in my mind sometimes. Like, oh, I was probably just imagining things or this and that. I've tried to downplay it before. Or I find myself trying to downplay it. Anyways, but then I'll watch that video and where it's like I haven't birthed the placenta yet and I'm explaining to them what I saw. And I was like, oh my gosh, no, that was so real. That was so real. That couldn't have been anything but God. Yeah.
hmm.
That was perfect.
So we have some questions, and if we can throw them at you, see how many we can answer in the next
Yeah,
3, 4 minutes or so. Let's
I
let
love
let's
that.
see what women are asking. Okay, one. One of them is, what made you decide to home birth your last?
It was always something, being one that like has always just loved birth and the whole process of birth. I just felt like I really wanted to, and talking to women who home birth, everyone says, "Oh, you got to do a home birth." You know what I mean? I feel like almost every single person I talked to that gave a home birth told me, you're gonna love it. You're gonna wish you had all of them at home. So I just felt like I gotta trust these other birthing women. They must be onto something, even
And you
though
don't
part
love car rides when you're in labor.
I don't love car rides. And
That
so there
helped.
was
That's
definitely
why
the
I home
perk.
birthed my second. I was like, I'll
Yeah,
do without the car ride. Do you want an hour-long car ride to the birthing center? Same thing for me.
exactly. So the perks
Okay.
were definitely there. And I was like, I gotta try it once.
And now
Yeah.
you agree with them. Now you agree
I
with you.
do. I do. I'll be the one other person that says, I wish I would have had all my births at home. I think oh gosh, I had such a good experience. It was wonderful.
Okay. Did you have a job before you were a stay-at-home mom? And what was it?
Yes, so I worked as like a CNA or like a nursing assistant in different environments. Like I worked at a group home for 10 years. I worked at a group home. Oh my gosh, I absolutely loved it. So I worked with adults with mental disabilities. Probably maybe my favorite job of all time. I also worked as a birth doula though, so that's a close birth doula and working with vulnerable adults. I those Oh my gosh,
Very
I would
aligned.
love to get
Very
back to
aligned work.
either. What's that?
It's very aligned work.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that was you were in the it's funny, like my mom is in this, she is a program coordinator for a nursing home, but she was an occupational therapist before that. Um, and my dad is an architect. And out of us four siblings, two of us are in like the people business, and the other two are in architecture, which is kind of funny, like who took after what parent. But yeah, so I worked as a birth doula and worked as a CNA and loved both. Yeah, loved. I would love to get back into like birth work or working with like adults with disabilities down the line somewhere in there. I would love it. So it's joy-filled work.
Okay. How did you know that you'd be complete after 6 babies? Or what advice do you have for women who are just, they torture themselves over whether to have that one additional baby? Any advice?
Oh, oh gosh. I it's so funny you're asking that because I'm so like struggling with that right now. As far as I know, like I have this sense of like, and I really felt it the most strong at the end of my pregnancy. I just had this really deep peace and no sense that we're complete, our family's complete. Because my fear was that I would always want to have more babies, and that this is such like a sweet season of my life bringing new life into the world and growing our family has meant so much to me that I was fearful that I would never want to be done and that I would just logically have to be done. And my heart would be like, no, I don't want to be done. But logically, you have to be done, you know? And that was kind of my fear. But I did have a ton of peace at the end of this pregnancy, like where my heart and my head were in alignment and felt good about being done. And but like within just like within the last couple of weeks or so, I've been kind of more so grieving that. I still have this like deep peace about it all, but I'm kind of getting sad now. Or it's so bittersweet. I'm sad, I'm getting more like sad that I'm never going to be pregnant again and, never have a baby again.
Okay, I guess that was not a good question choice because it provoked a lot. Yeah,
Oh
everyone's
gosh,
thinking, no,
it's
she
so
knows she's
real.
done it so easy for her. She just knew it
Oh,
would be sit, and you're saying, no, it's not even easy for you.
it's very
Even with
bittersweet.
even with
But
six.
one thing that's I will say that is so huge is that like the fact that I'm grieving this is such a beautiful thing because
Yeah,
it means that it meant so much to me.
yeah.
This chapter of my life meant so much to me, and that's a good thing. It's a good thing that I can grieve it because that means it was beautiful and good.
Yes. Yeah,
That's how I'm framing it.
absolutely. I was thinking that when you
So
were talking. It's a lot
yeah.
harder to not end on an easy birth. What's your secret to never seemingly losing your, you know what? How
Oh, our
do you
sex
keep,
drive?
yeah,
Our
how do you
sex
keep
drive?
your cool? How do you not?
Cynthia
Sorry,
couldn't say it. You couldn't say it. You
Should
know
I?
what?
Should I swear? No, not in this episode. It doesn't feel right.
How do we keep like the spark?
Without, no, 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 that's another, no. What's your
Oh,
secret to not losing
Oh,
your, not,
your
what's your
shit.
secret to not losing your mind, to not
oh
losing
my,
your,
not
you know what?
losing my SHIT.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay. I do feel like I lose my SHIT sometimes. But yes, so I definitely don't not lose it. I do
So
lose it.
you raise your voice, you yell at your kids every now and then,
Oh,
like
yes,
any other
I've
normal
yelled
person.
I've yelled at my kids. I've like, sometimes I feel like or I have good like physical regulation, where I'm doing this or I'm doing horse lips, but there's some times I'm doing this, you know,
Banging
and
your
I
head.
don't want to really teach this to my kids. So, but anytime that does happen, I always make sure to follow up with them. Like mom was feeling kind of so overwhelmed in that moment that I felt like I needed to hit my head to kind of get back into to calm down. But that's not a good, there are other things we can do that are better and that don't hurt. And I show them, mommy's gonna do this next time. Or you know what I mean? We always like talk it through. Or if I yell, I do apologize because I don't want anytime I feel like I'm showing that I'm out of control, it is very important to me that I talk them through it because I want them to know that they have security with me and that they can feel secure with me. And if I have moments where I feel out of control, they can trust that mommy's going to, you know what I mean? I don't want them to,
Come back. Yeah, come
yeah,
back.
yeah,
I
that's
can't
huge.
help but think, and I've had this opinion for many years, that the luckiest people in the world are the ones with a really strong innate sense of humor, the kind of people who can just laugh for no reason. Like,
Yeah.
once in a while, if you're just driving and start laughing or you're trying to fall asleep at night and you start chuckling. I think these are the luckiest people in the world because you can take a stressful moment much of the time and turn it into something a little lighter because
Oh,
it
yeah.
is hard. So,
Yeah.
along those lines, just two more. One is, you and your husband seem so connected and joyful. I mean, does it boil down to just that you married someone who also has a lightness and a great humor about him? Is it really, or do you have tons of help on the side that nobody's seeing on social media?
We do so we do I do have like uh a nanny that comes on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. I do have help. I don't want people to think that
A little bit.
I have a little bit. So just Tuesdays and Wednesdays I have, and we absolutely, she's a gal from our church. We absolutely love her. My kids absolutely love her. She's wonderful. Yeah, 2 days a week where I can edit, email. I'm writing a children's book. So, and that was like, I struggled with that right off the bat. I meant to be a stay-at-home mom and, all the unnecessary mom guilt, mom shame, you're taking time away from yeah, blah. So, anyways, unnecessary shame for 100%,
Well,
I've,
women throughout history had community. I
yes.
mean, just the women today just have to pay for it more often, but women always had women all over the place helping them.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
yes. And I think that's so Oh, community is so, so, so important. And my mom, she lives on our property, mother-in-law suite. My parents are divorced, so my mom lives on our property. She works full time, and we're very like we try to be very respectful of her. It's not a free for all. You can't just go to grandma's whenever you want, even though you can walk there. We try to be very respectful of her, solitude. Everyone needs solitude. So, but she's also like, she'll pop over in the evening sometimes, give help with bath time. That probably happens at least once a week. She's popping over and like, changing a diaper or so I definitely have that community support as well. I have amazing, John's parents are amazing. A
So
lot of,
about your marriage then, would you say it's that John also just has a good humor and basically a similar disposition?
he definitely does. People that know us say that like we're both golden retrievers. So, and I feel like he's almost honestly a bigger golden retriever than me. I can be kind of more like, I don't know. I can be more, okay. Like let's say we're in an elevator with strangers. He's way more likely to start yapping with the strangers, where I'm kind of more like I can be kind of introverted at times, or I don't necessarily know, I don't want to necessarily spark up a conversation with every stranger I meet, where John will 100% do that. And
Well,
I'm
we're
kind of like,
talking about what keeps you happy together. And if you both
oh,
can
sorry.
take a stressful moment, no,
I keep,
I think
I,
that's a really cute analogy. But
yeah,
what I think people admire so much is that you and he seem to have so much fun together. So
yeah,
even if he is a little different in public, at
yeah.
home, he's still like that light. He's got that, he'll lean toward lightness like you do,
He definitely will.
you have
Yeah.
to feel it in your bones that must save your marriage 1,000 times over, right?
Oh,
Like
yeah.
in
Being
another
able to
household, that
laugh.
would turn into a really bad moment when you two can laugh it off. You must feel that.
Yes, I do 100% feel that. The fact that we can laugh together
Yeah.
and laugh at the insanity of it all. He's very even keeled. He doesn't get really easily rattled. So being able to find humor together is huge, huge,
Huge.
huge.
It's
Yeah.
huge. Last question. What made your home birth so special? How was it different from all your other births, which were also really good births in a birthing center? What
Yeah.
was different about the home birth?
I think they're just something and you hear people say this all the time. There's something about being at home. There is something about this extra layer of like comfort and security about being at home, which comfort and security are both huge things that you want in your birth. So you do have that extra layer when you're at home. Even like being able to like walk my whole house. I was in the kitchen, I was going up and down the stairs. I was in all these places that I so
Yeah.
often in during the day. And
Yeah.
there's a beauty about that for sure.
And then there's breakfast in bed after the baby is born.
Yes, my sister-in-law came to this birth, and came in with this like whole tray of like whole fresh sourdough bread with like butter and honey on it. This like really hearty stew that she made. Oh, the meal after birth is so good. And she like brought me my tray, and I was in, oh, that was so. There's no feeling like that. When
Truly.
people would say like, and then just being able to like tuck right into your bed after was so amazing. And I always felt like, I couldn't like feel how special that was, I guess, when people talk about it, like, because I would get into a bed at the birth center afterwards, like, and they have like a standard. It's not like a hospital bed, so I felt like I don't know if that's really gonna be the biggest appeal to me. But then actually getting into your own bed after birth, I was like, I get it. This is so nice. Yeah.
Well, this was amazing meeting you.
Thank you, Emily.
It's so much fun. So happy.
I'm so happy that we got to do it. I'm so thank you so much for
Thank
just
you,
throwing the
Emily.
invite out, and this was
Yeah.
so nice.